Couple basic ideas. We're getting back into class structure, so I'm gonna ramble a bit as I'm getting back into thinking about these things. Couple things to do differently. This is the 5 basic ideas we want to cover today. Question number 1, the easiest thing. What are the 2 main types of burners or burners we're gonna run into? 2 main brands.
Beckett's and Rillows.
Yeah. There are other brands out there. Carlin is the only one I can think of off the top of my head. To some extent, it's regional, where they're going to be. I guess if you're up in the Northeast, you'll see more of them. Smooth. But I'd say 95% of them are going to be Beckett's. Occasionally, you'll see the Rylos, Rilo, whatever you feel like calling it. It's Canadian.
It's another one too, but I'm not sure if it's the same brand, but the box is blue. When the box is red, and we deal with a lot of them like
I
that.
think there's a Carlin.
I think they're yeah,
Brand is
yeah,
Carlin.
that's it. They're the big blue boxes. You'll see those here and there too. Not too much. It's those,
Very. But good morning.
Good morning, sorry.
Have a seat.
I'm taking some notes.
Alright, there's 3 numbers on the nozzle. What do they mean? I have the nozzle in here. General nozzle you can see is 0.65, 80 degrees A. What do the 3 numbers mean? Anybody know?
Size and angle.
Yeah. The 80 degrees is the spray angle. See at the end of the nozzle, it'll spray out. And
Is it 0.65 for how much per gallon?
it's gallons per hour.
Yeah, gallons per gallon.
0.65 gallons per hour at, I think the test pressure is 100 psi. That's how much oil it sprays out. The more oil you put in, more oil it sprays, the hotter it's going to be.
Oil pressure?
Oil pressure, this is just what it's rated as. So it's 0.65 gallons per hour at, I think it's 100 psi. It's generally, for the most part, it's irrelevant. As far as nozzle selection goes, go by whatever's the manufacturer for whatever unit you're putting in. If you're working on the oil furnace, it'll be stamped on there somewhere. Usually not on the burner, but on the furnace itself, on its info
Starting
plate.
route to Marley Station Mall. Head southeast on North
Copy directions.
Just hit the birth mode.
What was that? The 100 psi, that generally doesn't matter because most of these run about 125 psi. Because it's 140. New Beckett's about 40.
Yeah. Is it nozzle?
Yeah. Its nozzle is 0.65 even. Yeah. That's what this one actually says on it. Most of them don't. But even still, the burners get changed and they'll have a range to them. So go by whatever's on the plate or whatever's in there. Whatever you take out, put back in. What does the A mean?
Legal. Spray pad. Spray pad.
Yep.
Yeah. What's up? What's okay?
Maybe that's spray pad.
There's 3.
It's A, B, W.
Yeah.
Huh?
A, B, and W are the 3 main spray patterns. A is hollow, so when it sprays out, it'll spray in a cone. It'll kind of spray up this way. So the flame will be on the outside, not so much through the core. If you look at it from the end, that's where most of your oil is going to spray. And the center of it will be hollow. B is solid, so the whole thing we get sprayed out, and then W is a hybrid, kind of in between, semi-solid, semi-hollow, whatever you feel like calling it.
So a little bit more around the ends and then less in the middle.
Yeah. I know B is more like straight shot. This is coming straight in, but W is more like out. It's
Yeah,
like
plus.
right, yeah, and the little ends too.
It's somewhere.
One of them shoot just like that.
Yeah, once you like that,
It
I
just
think
shoots
that's A.
just like that's the A.
And then B is like that, and the other one.
It's like the middle of
Kind
both.
of somewhere in between.
Yeah, in between.
Ideally, if the chamber's designed for an A, use an A. If it's for a B, use a B. If you have W's, you can use it for either. The best solution is always to put the proper one in. Worst case,
W.
go get one.
So push comes to shove, right? We got none of them on our truck, but we got a W. Can we just go ahead and use that one?
Yes.
Alright.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the most important number out of all three of these?
80. No, I'm sorry, 0.65.
It is a .65.
0.65 is the most important number.
What happens if you change this number?
Too much fire.
Then you changing the pressure. You changing.
Raising the whole pressure. Too much fire. Too little fire. There you go.
Too much fuel or too little fuel. You gotta mess with the air to balance it back out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you adjust, like if you change this by 10 degrees, like if you only have a .65 70 and stick it in there, it's not ideal, but it may be close enough. If you change it to a .75, you have to adjust the air, it's gonna spray way too much fuel. Put it to a .45 or 55. Cut the oil down, you have to cut the air down to match it.
Yeah.
So
Cut it. Cut it.
the .65 is the most important number. The second one is the angle. What dictates what angle your spray pattern is? What part of the furnace, boiler, whatever you want to call it, what makes the spray pattern, spray angle important?
You touch your head?
No?
No.
Sort of gave you the answer. No, because that's all adjusted. Nozzle.
Oh, whatever type of furnace it is. Right?
The heat exchanger?
You said what type of chamber it is.
Yeah. The shape of the combustion
Yeah,
chamber.
whatever type of combustion chamber it is. Yeah.
If you're dealing with a, they all have some type of combustion chamber.
Yeah.
So you got your little nozzle. There you go. It's spraying out. Yeah, I'm trying not to make it look inappropriate.
There's no clean way to do it.
If you have a small round combustion chamber, like the big oil drum furnaces, they're gonna want it with a wide spray angle. So it's gonna spray like out that way to kind of fill this part in with flame. If you have something, usually something like a bigger boiler, multi-plate boiler, to where, you know, your gun's sitting there, and chambers like this, because you have, you know,
It's so much
a
space in the chamber.
6-plate boiler or some giant long thing.
It's gonna go straight in there.
Yeah, then you're gonna want a more narrow angle, so it'll fill it
Yeah.
in a longer spray. If you change this angle too much, if you put a narrow angle on something like this, it's gonna spray out and your oil's gonna hit the back of it, and it's gonna just coat the back of that thing with oil, burn it up, do a lot of this nasty stuff to it. Same thing with here. It sprays out, it'll get all over the sides and kill your combustion.
And nothing won't get to the back.
Usually burn a hole there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Leave hot spots in the bone. Come on.
FC? Fix it up. So. Any questions about nozzle size? What the numbers mean?
Could you say it one more time just so it's clear for everybody?
Okay. The first number, 0.65, is the flow rate of the nozzle at standard pressure. Again, I have to look it up. It'll flow 0.65 gallons per hour. The 80 is the angle of the spray pattern. So you either have a narrow one for a deep combustion chamber or a wide angle for short and round. And A is the spray pattern. You have hollow. A is hollow.
B is solid.
B is solid.
W is hybrid.
Is, yeah, hybrid.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
There's one other one that you will see from time to time, and they're pretty much all the same in terms of these two, but the type is MH. What's the MH one for? Only one brand of furnace that I think uses it is Miller.
Mellow. Oh.
Miller furnace.
Mobile home?
Yeah. That's what it is. It's for mobile homes.
Oh, the stand-up furnace, them big tall ones.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You pull them out, it's a type MH.
The big tall furnaces that stand up in the trailers.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
They, because it's homes are all manufactured, they all basically take the same nozzle as the type MH. So you should have one or two of them on your truck, you're doing tune-ups. Because those have an extremely short combustion chamber. They're very small, very tight. There's only one that uses these, and then everything else will use something in this vicinity. Any questions? No? All right. When you're setting it up, when you're checking your boil, you put your new nozzle in, you change everything out, do all your regular stuff. You put your exhaust gas analyzer in there, your sniffer. What are you testing for? What two things are you testing for?
Pressure.
In the exhaust analyzer.
You wanna,
And test for pressure too.
CO2 levels.
Not all gauges do. I have to knock them out right off. Stack temperature is 1. Not all gauges read CO2 cleanly. You have exhaust analyzer in your truck, don't you? Do you have one?
Kevin does.
Yeah, Kevin.
no,
No,
Kevin Hyde.
There's two Kevins.
I don't have a truck.
Well, then obviously we're not talking to you.
If I do, then that probably do. Yeah.
O2, oxygen, the extra oxygen coming out.
I have one in my truck if you want it.
Not right now, because we're gonna run out of time trying to cover too much stuff. Stack temperature. What is stack temperature?
Well, no, temperature.
It's the temperature of the chimney? Temperature of the gas coming out?
Temperature of the heat going up to the chimney.
Sort of, but it's slightly more complicated.
Shouldn't be the heat that's coming up to the exhaust that's going before it hits out, before it hits to that damper, that heat, that goes. So it should be the chimney air plus,
Chimney heat.
chimney heat.
Chimney heat, this temperature of chimney minus,
The heat coming in. right?
Yeah, outside temperature.
The room temperature.
Yeah.
It's basically the heat rise of the exhaust gases going up.
Yeah.
The temperature going in minus, or the temperature going out minus the temperature coming in gives you your stack temperature. So if you're in a really hot room, it's gonna be hotter. If you're in a really cold room, it's gonna be colder. What should your temperature be? What range should you be in?
6 to 7.
Yeah, about there. Somewhere, once everything gets up and running, about 5 to 7. Minus your room temperature was probably about 65 degrees. And it still winds up somewhere in the 500 to 700 range.
So does that gauge that you're talking about do the subtraction already, or?
No. No. But if you start looking up specs, it'll always say stack temperature. But when you're looking at that, remember you gotta subtract the room temperature from your stack temperature. The main one that'll get you where you need to be is gonna be this one, your O2. Because adjusting it to get this in the correct range will get your temperature where it needs to be, and you more or less use the temperature as a back check to make sure everything is going the way it's supposed to go.
Alright, so if I check it and it says my stack time is like 900, what is that telling me?
It's way too hot.
That's
You're
what
dumping all your extra
Why is
heat
it
up the
too
chimney. Most likely, you have too much air going in. When you have, works the same for cars, I don't know if anybody else has a car not here, but if you have nice balanced, at your target temp, target everything, you wanna burn all the fuel with as little air to do it as possible. Your O2 percentage in your exhaust should be 6% is the target. I think it's 4 to 7, but generally speaking. 6% extra air. Is it extra air? Or just O2%?
Is that the target oxygen ratio?
Yes. Yeah, target oxygen is 6%. If you bump this up to 10%, there's too much oxygen in there, too much air, it's gonna burn hotter.
Mm-hmm.
The flame burns hotter and faster, and that'll start driving your heat up. It'll also overheat your heat exchanger and do a bunch of other nasty stuff.
But shouldn't there be some safeties on it or something like that to stop it from getting that hot?
Not
Yeah,
so much
the
on
tech
a,
adjusting it.
Alright.
not so much on an oil furnace, on a regular gas furnace. But on an
Yeah.
oil furnace, there's not really limits, otherwise they'd always be going off. How high would you have to set a limit, you know?
But there should be some type of safeties on oil burners, which it is. I'm not sure if I was temperature, but it is safeties dealing with the oil.
There are,
Sometimes your client will continuously keep
Press
the
res-
set, enough so that the oil then soaks the carpet and catches the chimney on fire when you fix it.
Could you say that louder?
Yeah.
yeah, they
Oh,
step up to the mic.
I was saying, so sometimes you gotta watch and make sure your client hasn't pushed the button 100 times, dumped oil down it, and then when you do fix it and fire it up, it catches the chimney on fire.
They like to press that reset button over and over and over again. Every time they do, it shoots a bunch of oil right into the combustion chamber.
Yeah, it keeps trying to fire and then it doesn't. It's like, oh, let me hit it again, let me hit it again, let me hit it again.
I mean, he had enough out there to puddle on the ground.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't do this secret lockout. You have to hold it for like 2, 3
Gotta
minutes.
hold it.
No, he looked up on Google and he saw
Found
that
out
they
how
could
to
do
do
that,
that.
and then did it like 100 times.
Okay, yeah.
Like, it literally soaked, the oil was soaked into the carpet out, and I didn't look at it, I just thought it was.
The neighbors,
Frozen unit.
the neighbors thought there was a dragon in there because there was a 10-foot flame shooting up through the chimney.
That was a fun day.
lean it out too much, your exhaust temperature will get too hot. It's just heat going up the chimney, you're wasting fuel, you're wasting all that energy. You don't want overheating things.
So just make that adjustment, pretty much.
How do you get the adjustment?
You make the adjustment through, on the Beckett's, it's these, this band. You have the big band and the little band. The large band out here, and then the small band is this one. You make the adjustments. You usually don't have to adjust the large band once everything's up and set, just by this little clamp. The other one, there's a screw up top. There's a screw up top here, and there's one down the bottom to lock it in place. And then you just kind of turn this one where it needs to go. Right now it's locked down, so it doesn't want to move. And choke the air off to get your target where you want it. If you run the exhaust or run this too low, down to say 2%,
You're not getting that far.
what happens? What's the effect?
Not hot enough.
It's gonna be too little, combustion, or what we gonna say?
Not hot enough. A lot of
A lot of soot.
soot.
Flat smoke.
Soot.
Yeah.
A lot of soot.
Start building up soot again. Soot is nothing but unburnt fuel. So once again, you're just blowing unburnt gas, unburnt fuel up your chimney. You get too much soot buildup, then everything goes to hell. Sometimes literally, because you get hot enough, soot is flammable, because it's unburnt fuel. So if you can light that shit on fire, and you'll wind up with chimney fires.
Or hot spots in your boiler.
Yeah. Yeah, because that thing was still, the one he was talking about, we went there 2 or 3 days later to rip the entire boiler out and put a new one in. Still smoldering,
Yeah.
but.
Are you talking about the one where Gary,
The
where
one that
the?
blew out the chimney?
Oh yeah.
That the fire department came, dumped an entire fire extinguisher in the thing.
Yeah.
But when we came 2, 3 days later, it was still smoldering inside there.
No, I was sitting with the fire captain that came out,
Mm-hmm.
and they'd already said the fire was out and everything was good, and then him, the cop, and myself were standing there talking, and then a flame shot out the top of it. Captain's like, goes, that's interesting, grabs a fire extinguisher, dumps a second one down the chimney.
There is another byproduct of soot.
Carbon monoxide.
It is a great insulator.
Yeah.
Soot ash is one of the best insulators you can have. So if somebody's been running this thing and coated the inside of it with soot, yours also gonna get too hot. Because if your heat exchanger is insulated, it can't exchange heat. So all of it's gonna go right at the chimney. So even though now you've fixed this problem and you got your percentages right where they're supposed to be and everything's burning correctly, but you're still dumping a shitload of heat up your chimney, you may be coated with soot, in which case it has to be cleaned out. Yep. If you are cleaning soot, several very important things. Only work on it cold. Do not have your thing firing up, running nice and hot, and then go, oh, let me clean the soot out of it. Do that first.
And only use the soot vacuum. Do not use
Do
a.
not use a shop vac.
Yeah.
Shop vac, dustpan, dust buster, whatever else you want to use it, only use a soot vac. We've got 3 of them out there.
3 of them.
So, any questions on this general idea? I think was there anything else you wanted to say as far as that goes?
I think you want to play with burners.
I do. Unfortunately, we can't fire them up in here because the fire department would not like that. I sure as hell will not do that on video. I'm doing something stupid. No. And we're killing Gary. The general idea of the nozzles. The only way to properly test, there's two ways to properly test this thing. One is with an exhaust analyzer, with a sniffer. Gary has one on his truck. Two of them I just sent out to get recalibrated, to get fixed. Mine and the one that's in Mike's truck. So those should be coming back in the not too distant future. Questions 3 and 4. There's two of those things right there. What are the primary fails of the Beckett and the Rilo? What's the primary cause of failure for any oil boiler?
You haven't
Don't
serviced it.
overcomplicate this.
No,
Nobody serviced it.
Thank you. Number one fail.
no.
Move that chair. I think he's getting ready to talk about boilers. We talk about burners.
Sort of moving around. I'm gonna get you a shoulder camera.
No oil.
Number one fail of everything is no oil. What causes the oil flow to stop?
The pressure, the sink is,
On the line, okay.
Empty tank, clogged line, clogged somewhere.
With the screen getting dirty.
Yeah.
yup, that little filter, little screen there.
Yeah, a little screen inside of it.
First place, always the first place to check. Make sure you're getting oil. Is to crack this little bleeder line. It's just a 3/8 wrench.
Piece of
Servicing
vinyl.
these things, you should have them in your truck, and a little piece of clear hose. The 3/8 hose goes around it. I believe 1/4 inch will snap on it nicely. Over there somewhere. But it's just a 3/8 wrench. This little plug, it's on the newer ones, it's not on the older ones. This is a valve. It stops flow up here.
Oil valve.
Yeah, it stops flow going into here. So if you're bleeding it, the fast way to bleed it is to unplug this thing and then do your normal bleed. Crack that thing open as the oil spraying out through here. And then once it's coming out nice and clear and smooth, and close it again. If the oil's foamy, if it's not pink, not this nice red pink color, things to look at, but it should come out. This pump is 140 PSI.
So it should come out a little hard and then
Yeah.
clear up. So if it's coming out slow and it's bubbling and like it's pulling back, then it's probably
Then-
clogged somewhere.
Then keep bleeding it till it comes out nice and clear, or you may have a problem somewhere else. If you're coming out there because there's no oil flow, or the oil burner keeps shutting off, then maybe a problem somewhere else.
Check the tank.
Yeah. Step one, check
If
the
it comes
tank.
out like dark
Check the
red.
oil tank.
I know if it comes out dark red, it means that they're like bottom of the tank. And it's, they getting up on that build,
It could be the end of the tank
and plus.
coming down.
Yeah,
If they just got it filled, it could have stirred it up. But if it's coming out dark red, it does mean there's some dirt flowing through there. Check the filter, should be
Yeah.
changing anyway, but when you're changing your filter, look at what you're taking out. If the filter's completely clogged, like, obviously looks like nobody's messed with this thing in 10 years.
yeah, screen left.
There is a screen behind this, and it's just Allen keys to pop it off. I don't remember if this is metric or standard, but I'll put both of them in here. Hard feels like that should be prepared a little better. It's metric. step one, check your filter. If you have a tank that's above you, it'll gravity feed. That's always nice, cause then you can test. You can just open the line and see if oil will drip out. Again, catch the oil, don't make a mess with it, cause it does stink like hell. It is hard to get out, and it's just generally messy.
Should have sweet air on the trucks.
You should. You know what the easiest way to clean up is?
Don't spill.
Don't make a mess.
Don't make a
spill.
mess. So, sell some rags down, drop cloths, all that fun stuff. And
Maybe I use a dog's pee pad.
those
An
work
oil
great.
bucket, an oil pan,
Oh,
plastic oil pan, how about that?
Yeah.
I can get one of those, that'd be great to have,
Oh.
right under it.
I know some
I just take the
people.
lid off the bucket.
Sometimes you can't even.
Yeah.
Talk to him if you need that.
Hmm?
Talk to Gary if you need that.
Yeah,
Or your
we can
truck.
Put that in the
Keep
truck.
that. And this is why I covered this table. But
They go this way.
inside of here is your last line of defense. If you've already checked everything else, these will clog up. Should have contact cleaner in your truck, which is basically glorified brake clean. It'll blast these things right out.
Contact cleaner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Contact cleaner, degreaser, anything, just spray it from the
Degreaser,
inside
just
out.
spray 'em.
Yep.
Okay.
And it'll just blast the shit out of these things.
Think
But-
if you do silver above repairs, we should just clean that thing automatically.
I think what you meant to say, Bobby, was blast the heck out of those things.
Well, there's gonna be a lot of gunk in it.
We need the
So-
sensor guy.
And for the love of God, if you
But-
do that, take it outside before you do it.
Yeah.
That's gonna make a mess.
It will make a mess, and there's no way to keep that thing clean. So take it outside.
But if that's only if they, you only should change those only if they don't have a filter on it, right? Or just once in a blue moon.
Once in a blue moon, usually this, changing that one out or cleaning that one is more of a diagnostic thing.
Mhm.
Like you just can't get flow, or if you change the filter and the filter hasn't been changed in forever, or you pull the nozzle out and the back of the nozzle's all cruddy.
And then black.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
If
it.
the little screen on the back of the nozzle's dirty, then it means everything's been getting past that filter if there was one. So this filter's probably clogged up too.
Okay.
Taking a beat.
Yeah.
I got you. Alright.
Not everybody believes in filters for some reason.
I do.
Well, you see a lot of places, a lot of houses that don't have an oil filter at all, which they should,
Yeah.
because these things are expensive.
So
I think I did.
we should
Feel free to
always,
sell
so
I think I recommended one.
Yeah, feel free to sell one.
Yeah. If they don't have one,
Oh, yeah. So.
or I almost say if it's inaccessible,
mhm.
because you see that too. People bury the oil tanks. I don't mean in the ground, I mean behind a whole bunch of crap, because nobody ever has to get to them. I've on more than one occasion had to belly crawl through spiderweb hell to get to the oil filter that was right on the bottom of the tank, because it's in the basement, so they pile everything around it. And some piece of
Nobody knows what it
something
is.
has been serviced in forever.
Oh, man.
Nobody really knows what it is.
But
We're the one where Mike had to crawl underneath the deck to try and find the disconnect, shut off to the.
Hey,
Oh, yeah. That was with you.
Buried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking. And I couldn't shut it off.
The
but
valve was bad.
Yeah.
No, there was none.
you can unplug this thing, get your oil flowing nice. Once you get your oil flowing nice, then you can plug it back in. Because some have a priming mode. I don't know if this one has a priming mode offhand. The other ones do, or run for, I think it's 4 minutes. And it'll just run the pump without hitting the igniter or anything else. And ignore the flame sensor. But if you just unplug this thing, you won't keep spraying oil in as it's trying to fire.
Mhm.
So you're saying you don't usually run it to prime it?
You mean with the oil spraying? With the
Yeah.
flame on?
No, the flame on. Usually when they, let's say when you're changing the filter and stuff like that,
Mhm.
you wanna prime it.
Mm-hmm.
You should have it plugged in to prime it, right?
I usually unplug this thing.
That's how I
Unplug
noticed.
it.
I noticed that, that's how I was
Yeah.
like,
It'll, if you leave it plugged in, once, most of them have a 15-second pre-purge, so they'll run for 15 seconds of just spraying air, and it'll also spin the pump before it goes in, before it'll open this thing and start spraying inside. After that 15 seconds is up, it'll open this and start spraying in, but if you're still spraying air or still purging air out, and plus you have the thing opened up, which is gonna drop the pressure, it's not gonna spray its flame very well, so it may spit and sputter, flame out, do a bunch of stuff. It may ignite, it may not, again, because the pressure's off. So I find it easier to just unplug it, and then, especially if the homeowner's standing behind you, then you can sit there, prime it up, and it'll be running fine, and then as soon as you plug the thing back in and fire it up, it just goes whoosh, and you look like a hero. It hasn't been spitting and sputtering while you're playing with it. You can,
I've seen it done it so many other ways, that's why I was trying to ask you, 'cause you doing it that way, I was showing to do it the other way.
so what, leave it plugged in?
Leave it plugged in, prime it, and you, once it start, once you bleed it, and it bubbles stop,
Mm-hmm.
then you close it. It's after the first 15 seconds,
Mhm.
you should have it already coming through, and it should be already primed, and then you close it, and then start it up, and it lights.
Yeah.
I mean, you show me another way. I mean, if you say it that way, I mean, true.
It depends on how much air is in there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm
Sometimes
saying.
they'll purge out cleaner, sometimes they won't. If you wind up in a situation like you put this thing back on, put your oil filter back together,
Yeah.
and this isn't tight down, because I've had these things misaligned before to where they just keep sucking air in, then it's not gonna flame right.
Yeah.
So because this thing's open, your oil pressure will be dropped. Also, if you wanna keep the flame, it's gotta be a little more closed.
Closed. Yeah.
So I just open that thing up.
That's what I just.
I open it up, let it spray, and then once it's done spraying, I close it off, plug it back in, and then let it fire up. The Rylos are basically the same, they have all the same basic components. This one has seen better days. It came off a boiler we took out. It's a boiler with a cracked heat exchanger, so it was dead, the boiler was dead, but this thing still has some life, so it was kept as a teaching tool. That's where I get most of these things, is take them out of something. The Rylo, same basic components, just in a slightly different package. You got your motor's down here, the pump, it's a different pump. Ignition box, this one has a combination ignition box and igniter, which is on top of here, and it just unplugs. Just snaps off the back of it, so it's one big module. A little more. How many of y'all have changed nozzles? Gosh, I hope so. Do you got one of these? Little cheater tool?
Oh, Z-gauge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one of those, right?
Nice, a little Z-gauge.
So I can put-
Yeah, you put it on the tip of the thing, turn it.
Yeah. It's an easy way of adjusting these things. But people should have messed with these before. And most of the ones you're gonna see are gonna be these. You unscrew that. I'm trying. Unscrew that, get out of the way. Unscrew that and get out of the way. Then this whole thing pops out.
Yeah.
Then if it's set up correctly, if you loosen that up, you get these out of the way, get the electrodes out of the way, makes it a whole lot easier to change this nozzle out. This nozzle, yeah, 6580B.
You mind turning that this way?
This thing?
No, the thing which you're setting the points with.
Oh. Just moving over. Loosen this up. These will slide back out of the way. Then you can change your nozzle. After you put your new nozzle on, set that thing, just slide on the end. Line the points up right on it. And tighten this thing down. They made it about as idiot resistant as possible. The other trick is the depth. This one is what these little fins on the outside of it are for. It's got the depth behind the flame, the head of this thing. You do have to loosen that thing to get it in. And once you set that on there, it'll butt up against the face of it. Then you lock this thing in place. And then that'll set your depth behind here. If this depth isn't set correctly, what'll happen?
Is the depth?
Yeah, if this depth isn't set correctly, what'll happen?
Too far forward.
Your flame ain't gonna go to. Your flame ain't gonna go on.
You'll have a ton of soot and oil residue on the burner.
Your flame ain't even go on.
No, I thought it was probably the oil burn. Coming back. The oil come back, I wanna try to spray, it's not gonna make it inside,
Yeah, ain't going. Yeah,
inside the chamber.
I should be pushing back.
And probably like, right.
If you have it, if it's too far back,
It ain't gonna
these
sense
things will come
anything.
up here. The oil's gonna spray into the back of it. It's gonna hit straight in the back of it. And then it's not gonna ignite. You're gonna wind up spraying in the back of this thing here. Oil's gonna catch on here, run down,
And drip right out.
and drip inside and make a god-awful mess everywhere.
To the motor.
Yeah, on the floor. It's not gonna ignite, it's just gonna keep spraying
Spraying, it's
and
gonna
keep
come
hitting the
back.
reset button, and it's just not gonna,
So make it
It's
seem
gonna be
like,
a-
it's
Safety
gonna make it
switch
seem
for
like you
that
had a
though.
leak.
And there should be a safety switch for that.
It's gonna make it seem like you have a leak.
There
Yeah, that's
is
what
a
it said,
safety
it's gonna
switch
cut
for that.
off, it's not gonna light, it's just gonna cut
cause it's not
off.
gonna ignite, this thing will stop it.
Yeah, cause it's not
from
gonna sense the
going.
flame. So, but the thing
So
is,
it's
you
gonna
still,
pour oil everywhere. So
it's
it's
gonna
gonna be
put
something
all
to
on
stop
the
the
ground.
oil.
Cause you just sprayed all that oil everywhere, and now to clean all that oil up.
That's what I'm saying. All right, that's the punishment.
Punishment.
I ran into that.
That is your punishment. Clean up the oil. That is-
If it's set too far forward, what happens? You set,
You're gonna totally miss the points and spray oil inside of the combustion chamber without it igniting.
why won't it ignite?
It
Let's say
should
you set-
ignite.
Spark
Let's say
no,
you
it's
set your
not.
electrodes correctly to this
The
nozzle.
electrode's not in the front of it to spark it, so it's not gonna ignite.
It's the
just
arc
spray.
between the two
Yeah.
points that ignites the flame.
Yeah.
So it may arc to the casing and not fire.
Yeah, that one. It'll ignite. It'll arc to that thing.
And short it out.
Yeah, it's gonna arc the ground, which is this thing is grounded. So this points, instead of hitting and just arcing amongst themselves, is gonna draw your arc up, short it out to the case, and it's not gonna ignite.
Oh.
So what does that does
I know.
electrically to the thing? Does it blow a fuse? Does it? What is it?
Now
What
you gotta
does it?
replace the whole casing probably because it arced too.
Are you gonna show the you gonna show the arc?
Not on this one. You can do it on that one. The Rilo, you can plug that thing in and turn it on. This one probably has oil in it. Because that one I've fire it up a couple times. Actually, yeah, I can, because I can unplug it. I'm nifty. But
This is always so
with this thing
cool.
in place, you can't get the thing back out.
So that orange thing stays in there?
No, it comes back out. It's, you set your depth, take Sharpie and trace the back of it. I did this one last time, and the mark still lines up. Put a little thingy on it, and that's where it'll set. Because with that thing in place, it won't let it rock to the side, so you gotta loosen it to get it back out. But now it's been traced. Double check, make sure there's spring on there. And this thing goes back in. Set this thing sort of loosely. Let it square it up. And then line up with the part you traced. Pull the line back on. Drill. We have an extension cord.
I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get longer one.
Yeah, it might reach. Should reach. Keep it clean of fire.
I just want to see the arc, so.
You can't look at the arc. You'll melt. Gary got it.
Turn it just a little bit more.
Nobody's
There you
sitting
go.
down looking at that.
Yeah. Do you want to see it?